So I am missing a couple of parts, still waiting on them to arrive in the mail, but I got about 80% of the pieces I'm going to need to build the next lightsaber, which is going to be Sanguinius' sword, and I'll post a picture of what it looks like here. So it looks like a whole bunch of just random parts right now, but this is actually going to be the cross guard, and you know, it's actually cheaper for me right now to buy parts that look like they will match the shape that I am going for. I don't have too much equipment to work with big chunky pieces of metal. Eventually in the future I'm hoping to get to that point where I won't have to buy, say, like an axe. Even though these guys were on sale, and they match the shape pretty well. And I mean, match the shape as in just I have this piece I can cut in half and then just kind of bend it and braze it into this piece here. But you'll see that all with time. And I do have the wire that I'm going to be utilizing on this guy. I'm going to do another, not wire, but chain, another chain wrap. And also I'm going to make a crystal chamber for this guy. And I went all out. Unfortunately, I don't have it to show off right now, but I bought a ridiculously awesome sapphire. And sapphires are my favorite stones, gemstones. And this one is particularly unique because it does have red, purples, and some blues in there. And I know that the Blood Angels are predominantly known for their red coloration, but I don't know. For some reason, I saw that stone on eBay and I was like, that's the one that's gonna be the best for this build. But yeah, it's definitely an upgrade from the usual quartz crystals I use. You know, those are like 10 bucks a pop. This guy's like $100, but I just couldn't help myself. Speaking of, I also bought the parts for the next build. I've been doing a lot of 40k themed influence hilts. Next I'm going to be doing a Lord of the Rings Gandalf like staff lightsaber, and I'm very excited for that next piece because there's going to be a lot of engraving, which I don't do too much of by hand. Usually I acid etch, but I'm excited to try that out. So to start out with, I'm going to have to deal with these big ol' axe pieces and figure out what the length is gonna have to be to match the sword in the picture, and go from there with shaping them. Today I don't have too much time, unfortunately, so I figured I'd do my introduction video to this build, and also just get hopefully the crossguard part done. Maybe even start on the crystal chamber. I don't have the sapphire with me right now, but I can definitely get I know what I'm going to do with this, so I can definitely get started with the interior at least. So the first thing I actually want to do is I'm going to take away this sharp edge, just because I don't want it breaking off and shooting at me, which, you know, so far I've been lucky, nothing like that's happened, but you never know. Alright, so these two are cleaned up on their ends. They're ready to be raised to the main piece, but I'm going to clean these guys up first, just because when I heat it I don't want all this stuff to melt, this paint. So I was thinking about shaping the axe part before brazing it, but because I don't have an efficient way to ensure that both sides are going to be exact, I'm gonna just braze both parts onto it now and then shape it, which I know is gonna be a bigger pain, but I just feel like this is a better way to ensure that the crossguard is actually going to be what's the word? symmetrical. Ah, look at that. Got it. I still have a little bit of spots I gotta clean up, but I'm not gonna worry about that now. I want to just get the shape right, so I'm gonna go ahead and look at the picture and maybe draw out what I need to cut out. I now need to finish building the top part of Sanguinius' sword, and this guy came in recently. Castile Armory made this for me. I'm gonna have to remove quite a bit, unfortunately, which I feel bad because this is a lot of handcrafted work, but I'm gonna be removing most of the centerpiece here, and I have to flatten these guys because it's just a little bit too wide. Needs to be squished down just a little bit. But first, I'm gonna go ahead and keep going on this piece. And it came out pretty good. Ooh, that thing came out. Actually, this is where I'm gonna be. This is where the blade is gonna sit, along with the NeoPixel adapter. So next, I'm gonna have to cut up parts of this guy. Just a brass bar. I got it, and it's a little too thick, but brass, fortunately, is a lot easier to grind down. So I have to cut pieces to fit on this side and this side, and then the middle portion here. I'm going to braze all that together, and then I have to sculpt Sanguinius' sword's little middle piece. Since I'm already cutting everything, I might as well get this out of the way, so I'm going to remove some of these parts just to make it easier later. Alright, so now I just have to braze this big guy onto the cross guard. This guy's brazed on there, and I'm gonna let it cool a little bit. So I ran into some difficulties with trying to braze one of the pieces to thicken the neck portion of the hilt. So I'm gonna go ahead and just skip that. Unfortunately, I wanted to make that part thicker, just to make it look like more similar to his original sword. But unfortunately, I'm gonna have to just go directly to this part and install these and see what I can do from there. But because there's already so much brazed to the main piece with the two wings, let's see this guy. So I got it hot enough because I wanted this piece to melt to the neck part, and then I started getting issues, obviously, which I should have thought about before, with the brazes here started melting a bit. So I'm just gonna have to, like I said, cut these guys out and braze them on here, and then just move on from there. Just gonna braze these pieces together just so I can shave them down so they will match in size. I got a little clump there that'll hold them in place so I can shave them down. Let's see if we can pick it up. There it goes. Oh, big pain to get this, and that's only one more to go. So I'm gonna take a break on the crossguard portion and focus on the pommel. I'm just gonna hook this guy up real quick, and then with my angle grinder and a flat disc, I'm going to smooth it out. There it is, smoothed out, looks a lot better. So now that I finished all the parts for the main crossguard, now I'm going to be brazing these two pieces together just so I can shape the little wings at the top. Got rid of some of the parts I could get rid of easily. It looks pretty goofy right now, but just got to get the flap disc going and shape it, and then break it apart. Yeah, that looks even goofier. Come on, light! Oh my gosh! Oh, there it goes. Okay, you can see it now, sort of. Alright, so the little wings are cleaned up, and now I'm going to braze them onto this guy. So now that the wings are in place, I call them wings because they kind of look like little bat wings. I'm going to finish brazing this piece. All I need to do now is squish it to the sides and then braze the sides. I think that actually the big brazing pieces, besides the guard, which shouldn't be too bad since it's thin metal, I think all the hard brazes are out of the way, which is great. Nice thing is I can use this tiny torch for once to do this part. That's all I'm doing, is just heating up the metal and just pounding it down a little bit. Alright, I'm gonna have to straighten this guy out because I need this to be longer. We're getting to the final stretch here. Main body's pretty much finished. Now I'm just gonna add some details to it, and then I'm gonna have to cut the hole for the crystal chamber. But for the most part, this guy is almost done. For the pommel, I shined it up a little bit, and I'm just gonna add this piece to it here. Can't really tell what it is right now, but it's gonna hold a gem in place, so I'm gonna braze it onto here, and I'm gonna have the light pass through. I'm gonna have an LED shooting a light through the pommel, that way it'll give it a nice effect there. I got pretty late last night, so I didn't record some of the stuff I did, but I'll show you now. So I wanted to make a crystal chamber for this guy. Originally was going to add some lightsaber details to the top portion with the little wings, but the problem is it just looked goofy. This I think I need to make it more of a sword than a lightsaber. Also, I decided to go against the chain for the main handle, and I'm actually going to go with leather. I kept looking at the picture, and then I realized that I think it wouldn't look the same with the chain. I decided that the leather will just match the original sword better, I guess. And it looks pretty grody right now just because there's a lot of flux on there, a lot of heat distortion, a lot of burnt looking portions, but I'm getting close. I'm getting close to being able to clean it up and powder coat it all. The plan today, and hopefully today will be the last day of working on the hilt, and the rest of it will be just installation. So I'm going to start with cutting the holes for the crystal chamber, and then from there figuring out if I need to add anything interesting to, or else it's just going to be 2 holes, but we'll see how that goes. I'm actually going to use a Dremel for this. Now I wanted to wait to cut the holes just because I wasn't entirely sure what I was going to add to make this whole section interesting, just because holes aren't really that interesting. You know, you gotta spice them up a little bit. One hole down, and work on the other one. So the 2 holes are completed. I just have to grind them down a little bit to clean them up, and then figure out if I want to add anything or leave it as is. I think for now, they look pretty good. Alright, holes are done. I cleaned them a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and go in there with a Dremel. Just going to brace a couple more details onto the hilt, that way it's just a little bit more interesting to look at. So now I have to start building the crystal chamber, so I'm going to go ahead and brace the shielding pieces in place real quick, and then I'm going to figure out how I want to have the crystal displayed. Well, I skipped quite a bit in terms of filming. I mean, I guess it wasn't too much. It was just attaching this guy. For this part here, it was a pretty simple process. So before I powder coat this guy, I wanted to add brass coloring to all the steel parts. I'm just gonna powder coat it so I can finally put the leather on it and actually dye the leather, so it'll be ready for installation in the upcoming days. So everything's finished. The only thing that needs to happen now is installing the hilt. I got that little guy in there, see if I can zoom in. Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, I'll go install it real quick and then we'll check it out with the electronics. Alright, so the electronics are installed. As you can see, I got the LED shining there at the bottom. Also the crystal chamber. It's hard to see on the camera, but yeah, you see a little bit of it right there, the blue. Got the 2 switches installed under the leather. I didn't want I had some fancy LED switches, but I felt like I was just going to take away from the aesthetic of the hilt, so I just decided to sneakily install them underneath. So the 2 switches are actually going to be located right here. You'll see 2 bumps, one right here, one right here. This is the auxiliary switch. And the power switch is right next to it. change some colors. I was gonna bring out the blade, but I'll leave that for when I actually do the showcase video of the hilt. But there you have it, Sanguinius' sword, a lightsaber sword.